Number one is your job is to get better at the job. Let me say that again. Your job is to get better at the job. That's the first thing that you need to kind of keep in mind. And so when you're thinking this through, you want to think about like, okay, where do I need to get better at my job? Do I need to get more comfortable closing? Do I need to get more comfortable with like asking for bigger orders? Do I need to get more confident with like lists? Do I need to get more confident, building rapport at the beginning? So those are things that I think are really important. And then the second thing, it's to show up to the table, if you will, with a fork, a knife, and like the table set. And so what's the equivalent of a fork, a knife, and the table set? If you can mute yourself, someone on an iPhone, I'm just going to mute you. All right, there we go. Let's see here. I'm going to walk you through like the resources that if basically anyone does these things, they sell 12.5 plus. Would you like me to share that information with you? Okay, so I'm going to do that now. And you just need to have faith and confidence that, I've been at this since 1992. I can't even begin to tell you how many reps I've seen sell 12.5 and beyond for fast starts, for pushes, for, it's just too many. And so over time, you start noticing trends and you start seeing things. And, I'm not trying to flex here, but we're the best at this in the company. And so it really comes down to, if you do these things, you win, right? There are some coaches you have all seen before that, like, every year their team, no matter who their prospects are, get these results. And that's really what we're best at. We are best in our region. And when I ran a division, at what's called rep productivity. It means the productivity, the sales skills of our representatives. Okay. So let me just talk to you a little bit about how to push. Okay, so let's see here. Where am I? All right. So a couple of things on this, and you can't see this perfectly, and that's fine. Don't worry about it. Just the first thing is you need to have good habits when you're pushing. I'm just going to go ahead and unscreen share. I'll just tell you what they are. So you need to have good habits when you're pushing. So what are the habits that you need to have? That, good habits. You don't have to have perfect habits, but you need to be willing to go to bed early. You need to be willing to wake up early. Right? In my experience, it is hard to have great pushes if you're waking up at noon. Now, what I can also tell you is I've seen people have other jobs and sell 12.5. Okay, so let's say, for example, you had another job. Let me start by saying, if I had another job, I would ask myself, how much am I getting paid per hour at my other job? So let's say you were getting paid $10 an hour and you were working 40 hours a week. You'd be making $400 every week, right? Then you want to ask yourself, how much would I need to sell to beat that income? Okay, so let's say you're at 30% by the time the push rolls around. You would have to sell $1,200 for the week. Well, if you're pushing, you're going to sell a lot more than $1,200. Let's just say it's $2,400, right? It might be a time where you tell your boss, hey, you know what? I need these 2 weeks off. Does anyone work at a company where if you took 2 weeks off at your other job, the whole company would go under? It just doesn't happen. If I took 2 weeks off during the push, guess what? The company wouldn't go under. The region wouldn't go under. Basically, nothing bad would happen even if I took 2 weeks off. Okay, if the president of Vector, right? It really doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter what your job is. You can always take 2 weeks off. So some of you may need to have that conversation if you really want to maximize your push. And if for whatever reason you don't want to do that, that's fine. You can do an appointment. Let's say you're done with work at 5. You can do an appointment at 5:30, maybe 6:30 or 7, 8, 8:30, 9, 9:30. You could still do 4 appointments a day. And then on Saturday, maybe you do 8. So maybe do 20 during the week and 8 on the weekend. So I want to just outline that, for some of you, the habit that you want to get into is really sticking to your schedule, right? One habit that you want to get into is you want to get good at responding well to adversity. If I were to ask you, how well do you respond when things don't go your way? Just write down a number on a level of 1 to 10. Because what I can tell you is during a push, if you're doing more appointments, is it likely that more will go your way or less will go your way? Right? It's more likely that less is going to go your way because you're doing more appointments. It's not going to be a greater percentage, but more often you're going to have frustration and adversity happen. Does that make sense to everyone? So the percentage of time that it's going to happen is just as normal, but the amount of times it's going to happen is going to increase dramatically. So your ability to, work through adversity is going to be really important. I'm going to give you another one that you're going to be like, that's not related, and it's totally related. I want you to clean your room and clean your car and just clean anything like the inside that is going to be a distraction to you. Because in my experience, what I see is 2 things. Number one is it's going to get mom and dad maybe off your back to clean your room. It's going to be one less thing to like distract you from the push, right? You want to like do your household chores and get those done immediately as fast as possible. So that way you can just exclusively focus on your job. Okay. I want you to get in the habit of eating healthy and exercising. And for some of you, you're like, I don't like exercising. Okay, then walk. Like walking is actually exercise if you don't exercise. Right? So if you're exercising, what are the benefits of exercising? And again, I'm not here to, preach here, but I will tell you that scientifically, it changes your biochemistry. Okay, it reduces your stress and makes you feel better. Those are just facts. You can look that up on the internet. Are you going to be more stressed during a push? For sure. Is more going to come at you that's hardcore? Yeah. But if every day you at least have one thing that you control that goes well, is that going to have an impact on your day? It absolutely will. It absolutely will. So I think one of the things you want to do is just get in good habits, right? Like starting now. So they're competing for the Olympics, right? The Olympic trials are happening right now. Has anyone seen any of the cool stuff that's been happening? Did they cram that, right? The people that competed for the Olympics where they're like, I'm going to wait until 2 weeks before the Olympic trials to start. Right? No, they've been conditioning themselves for years. And in a similar way, you want to be conditioning yourself for the push. So maybe start going to bed early, right? So right now you're going to bed at 1, start going to bed at midnight. The next week, start going to bed at 11, right? Just so that way, because you're going to need to start waking up earlier to get more done. Okay. The second thing that you want to do in terms of how to push is you want to commit to at least 40 appointments and try to be shooting to 50. Now, I'm sure that there's someone on this call who maybe you're going out of town for 10 days of the push, right? I remember Casey said to me, we had a push. It was 10 days. And she said, some of you heard this story. She's like, I'm going on 2 philanthropic trips. So she was going to do some, like Habitat for Humanity type things. Casey's that accurate, essentially. And she was going to fly to, I forget, it was Costa Rica, I think was one of them. Honduras.
Costa Rica and Honduras.
Yeah, Costa Rica and Honduras. So she's going to fly to Costa Rica, fly back to the United States for 1 day, not even go back home. She was going to fly back to Chicago and then fly out the next day. So I think you had, is it 3 days to do appointments?
Yep.
And that's a challenge. And my response was like, hey, look, Casey, you're going to find a way to get this done. Because champions always find a way. You can either decide that you're going to be a champion and find a way, or you can find excuses. You all have reasons why you won't sell 12.5. Right? How many of you can think of reasons why you wouldn't do it? Right? Right? For every reason that you can't do it, there's a reason that you can do it. And it really, your focus is going to determine what happens. Okay. So for some of you, you've never done 40 appointments, like in your entire career so far. And we're going to encourage you to do 40 appointments over those 15 selling days. So it's going to feel a lot harder. And what my advice to you is get used to phoning a lot. Some of you, when you phone, you phone like 5 people. This was me when I started. And I was like, whoo, that's exhausting, right? And the dialing of numbers wasn't actually exhausting. Would you all agree that dialing numbers is not exhausting? Would you agree that talking to someone on the phone is not exhausting? Right? The only thing that's exhausting is the thought of rejection. Would you agree with that? It's like, I might get rejected. Or the thought of phoning. So not actually phoning, but the thought of phoning. Right? Who's ever like thought about working out and then didn't work out? Right? Or you thought about reading a book, but you didn't read the book. Or you thought about studying for finals. This is the best analogy that probably works for all of you. The thought about finals is more stressful than studying for finals. It's more stressful than actually taking the final. And that's why people put it off. So what I'd like you to walk away from this push is, I am not a person who procrastinates. I'm someone that runs towards things so that way I can do the things that I want to do. All right, our son, Bodhi, be like Bodhi. So we put food on his plate. What's the first thing he eats? It's the thing that he likes least on the plate. Right? And I'll look at it, and it almost surprises me. Like once a week, I'm like, "Wow, do you like that?" He's like, "No, it's the thing I liked least." I was like, "You're awesome." I was like, "You just down that thing, right?" And I want that for you. So I want you to be the type of person that has initiative towards attacking the things that you don't like doing. Because if you do that in Vector, you're gonna do that in other areas of your life. All right, stick to the schedule that we're going to give you. And the schedule that we're going to give you has spots for 5 days, 5 demos every day. And if you have less days to push, it's 8 demos a day. Look, the gist of it is really this. Like, when can you do your first demo? I would say after 9 a.m. And when can you do your last demo? Who's ever done a demo starting at 10 p.m.? Raise your hand. What did you sell on that demo? You got to unmute yourself.
I sold a custom homie.
Custom homie? Another homemaker? Signature? What else? Anyone else?
I think I sold a homemaker on one of those late ones as well.
Yeah.
I sold a galley set at like midnight.
Yep. Did you notice how I asked that question? I said, what did you sell? I've been in our business long enough to know late night appointments. I don't want to say always buy, but man, when they buy, it's big. And you've got to understand the psychology behind that. If they've got teenage kids are not home. So they're not annoying their parents. Right? So that's just a fact, right? Their teenage kids, like, they're not fighting with them, right? So they're in a better mood, right? Just as much as you may be like, I don't like my parents, they might not like you. Right? So I'm just kidding. Everyone gets on each other's nerves a little bit. You guys get the point, right? So here's the deal. Like, and kids that are young, they're asleep by that point. Maybe mom and dad's had a drink. They're in a pretty jovial mood. That's a great time to do demo. Okay, so you can start your last demo at 10 p.m. Now, if you were to ask me for a 10 p.m. demo, I'd be like, no way, man, I'm asleep by 9:30. If you were to ask my brother Bill for a 10 p.m. demo, he'd be like, yeah, sure, you can come over at 11. Right? He goes to bed at like 1. I'm in bed by 9:30. So here's the deal. You just gotta, it's like fishing, right? You just gotta cast the line. You just gotta ask everyone, would 5 o'clock be better for you or 10 p.m.? Oh, no, 5 o'clock's better, right? So you get comfortable asking, for other times. Hey, just really quick flash. You'll know that there's a contest to get on the newsletter right now. You know what the contest is to get on the newsletter this week? We're going to give one person $1,000. You get on the newsletter. We're going to give you get on the newsletter, you're entering a drawing for $1,000. Why am I doing this? Is I want to motivate you. They're just bribing me to sell more Cutco. Yep, that's exactly what we're doing. We want you to sell a lot of Cutco to make some cash, make sure customers are happy, and I'm going to give you $1,000. Right? So at a minimum, sell $1,000 this week. You know when's the last time I did that? Never. I've never done that. Okay, so I'm excited for you because hopefully it's one of you, right? But you want to stick to the schedule. So the first thing that you want to do is you want a phone. I'm going to screen share this one really quick. All right. So when do you phone? Phone time is best Monday through Friday between 7:30 in the morning and 9:30 in the morning. Who do you reach between 7:30 and 9:30 in the morning?
18:30.
Yeah, you reach moms and dads. It's exactly who you want demos with. You definitely want to book as many appointments as you can every morning. So my advice would be, the first thing I would do is clear your schedule for July 11th. I'm looking at my calendar. July 11th, July 18th, and July 25th. Okay, so every Sunday, you want a phone all day. All right, all day on Sundays, right there. You see that? On Saturdays, you want a phone from 8:30 to 10 in the morning. Okay, so let me just review this. So if you phone all day on the 11th of July, now I'm sure there's one of you that's like, but I'm out of town on the 11th. Okay, fine. You can phone all day on the 10th, right? But I'm out of town on the 10th. No big deal. The day you get back in town, phone all day that first day. What I'm wanting you to do is phone from literally like phone more than you've ever phoned probably in your life. So when you're committing to the push, I want you to call 200 people that day. The president of the company, he's a friend of mine. He said his job is to call 100 people a day. Every day, 6 days a week. He's in commercial real estate. He's not expected to phone 6 days a week, but everyone in the office does it. So that's what he does. I'm asking you to do this 3 times. I'm asking you to call 200 people. Let me ask you a question. If you call 200 people, it's going to be hard, right? It's going to be super hard, right? You're going to hear more no's on the phone than you've ever heard your entire career. But because of that, what else do you think is going to happen?
You become more confident, you get better.
Yeah, you're going to get more confident, right? That's one thing. What else will happen?
You can book more demos.
You'll hear more yeses than ever. So it's like you're going to hear more yeses than ever, and as such, you're going to hear more no's than ever. It's just like shooting baskets, right? Who's going to miss more baskets? The person who shoots 100 or the person who shoots 3? Same person, right? Same skill set. If you shoot 3 times, you're going to miss less times. Might be the same percentage, but you're going to miss less times. If you shoot, the more you shoot, the more you're going to miss. The percentage might be the same. Here's what I would hope for. I would hope you end up with 100 people saying no to you on the phone. Do you know what that means? It means you have 100 demos lined up. Right? Wouldn't that be great? So I want you to, like Sam was talking about, I want you to get excited. When they say no, I don't want to do the appointment. Here's what you want to do. You want to be like, or you usually have like earbuds in, right? You want to hang up and go like, first of all, thank you for saying no, because you probably would have been mean on the demo. Thank you for saying no, because you know what? I'm closer to yes. That's exactly what I want you to do. And then when they say yes, say thank you so much. Really share with them. This means a lot to me. It probably means a lot more to me than it does to you. I really appreciate your making time to do this. I'm really working hard to do something I kind of think is almost impossible. If you said that to me over the phone, I'd be like, I love this kid. I'd be like, Donna, this is my wife. Donna, I don't know what this kid's doing, but man, they sound excited. Like, let's help this kid out. That's exactly why every time I see a lemonade stand, I stop. I get out of my car and I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, selling lemonade. And I'm like, how much for the lemonade? They're like, $1. I'm like, I only have a 10, sorry. Or like, if I have a 20, I'm like, I only have a 20, sorry, here you go. Every single time I go to lemonade stand, every time I see one, I stop. Because I love helping people that are like trying to do something cool. And you'll run into people like that. When you tell them, this probably doesn't mean much to you, but it means a lot to me. I really appreciate your willingness to help me out. Okay. Hey, are you sure that time's good? That's what I always end with. Are you sure that time works out? Yes. Great. If you could jot that down. Can you just put it in your phone? Would you mind? Because I had someone the other day that forgot, and it was kind of a bummer. Right? You don't name the person, right? It was kind of a bummer, and it really kind of messed up my day. Oh yeah, I'll do that, right? I do that all the time. I'm like, hey, can you text me that we're gonna have a call tomorrow? And they're like, oh yeah, sure. Because I forget. You know what happens when you're older? You just forget stuff, right? It's not because like, anything, psychologically or, mentally, it's more just like you have so much that you're thinking about. Like there are times I'm like making breakfast and I'm like, Donna, can you just not talk to me? I just need to focus on this one thing because I'm thinking of my job. I'm thinking of my kid. I'm like, and then I'm like, okay, thank you for not talking. Like now I can focus. Right. Does that describe mom and dad at any point? Right. So just know that like, we're just thinking of, my wife will wake up and she's like, all right, we got to do this. I'm like, I didn't even really wake up yet. She's like running through all the things that she has to do. Okay. So don't be afraid to ask them to like put it in their phone. Okay. Or send them an invite, appointment with Maxwell, smiley face, right? Okay. So if you phoned all day Sunday, maybe you don't fill in the entire week, but that's why you phone every morning. Does that make sense? Because your job every morning between 7:30 and 9:30 is to add in 1 to 2 appointments a day. And if you're like 7:30, I don't wake up at 7:30. What if I paid you $2,000 over those 2 weeks? Would you wake up at 7:30? Would you be at the office by 7:30? What if I told you you had to be at the office by 5 a.m.? If I gave you $2,000 those 2 weeks, right? How many of you are like, oh, yep, I'll meet you at 4 with bagels, right? Great, we'll do that. We'll pay you a bunch of cash. Okay. What if you didn't pay cash? And I just said, you're going to have the most amazing experience and you're going to learn so much about yourself and you're going to grow probably more in those 2.5 weeks than you ever have. How many of you would be like, yeah, I'd do that. I'd sign up for that. Right? Who's ever been to like camp where you like grew a lot? Okay. I remember going to basketball camp. Our son's at sleepaway camp right now. I remember going to basketball camp as a kid. I got so much better at basketball. You know how much they paid me to go? Nothing. This is money camp. This is like learning how to be a professional camp. This is like exploring yourself and seeing how awesome you are camp. So however you want to phrase it to yourself. Okay. So my advice to you again is commit to the phoning, right? Because if you phone every day, Monday through Friday between 7:30 and 9, you're probably going to add 1 to 2 appointments every day. And there's 10 days of that. That's 20 appointments. If you phone on Saturday, somewhere between 8:30 to 10, maybe you'll add another 2 appointments. For 2 Saturdays, you're at 24 appointments. If you phone all day Sunday, and let's just say you only line up 1 appointment an hour for 10 hours, which again, I know you're like, what, 10 hours of phoning, right? It's not hard when you have 200 names and numbers. But you would add 10 more appointments. That's 60 appointments over the 2 weeks. Plus you have the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday to sell. That's 3 more days. That's what I'm saying, 15 days. Right? You would get 60 plus appointments scheduled. And so if you have scheduled 60 appointments, would you complete 50 because of reschedules, cancellations? Yes or yes? That's an easy one, right? You definitely would. Right? Now, here's what I want you to imagine. I want you to all imagine what are you gonna be at in sales by the time the 11th of July rolls around, or the 12th of July. So we've got what is it? Today's the last day of June. So you have 11 days. How much do you think you can sell between now? For sure, 1,000. So that way you enter that drawing, right? Now I want you to calculate what percentage you're going to be at. And again, let me say this again here. Right? You all probably know this, but you're at 10% when you start for the first 1,000, right? Most of you are 1,000, right? Then you're at 15% from 1 to 3,000. From 3 to 6,000, you're at 20%. From 6 to 10,000, you're at 25%. And over 10,000, you're at 30%. Over 20,000, you're at 35%. Over 25, you're at 40%, I think. Double check that one. All right. Henry, am I right on that or no? All right. All right. So talk to your manager. Sorry. They didn't have, like, it wasn't that good. Like you had to sell a lot more, to hit different levels. Okay. So here's what I want to share with you. Now I want you to calculate if you did 50 appointments, how many sales do you think you'd have? Just based on what you think you'd have in terms of your numbers. If I scheduled 50 appointments with people that you knew, right? How many sales do you think you'd have? Because I want you to write this number down. I want you to assume that you're going to have a $300 order or more, right? So if you have a $300 average order right now, it's probably going to grow like we talked about because you're doing way more appointments and you're getting better faster, right? So when I went to basketball camp, was I a better player after 1 week? You better believe I was, because we were playing basketball at basketball camp. You know what you do? You play basketball. You play basketball like 4 times a day, right? I got a lot better by week 1. By week 2, I was so much better. By the time the 2 weeks were done, if I had a 3rd week of basketball camp, I would have been even better. You guys understand? That's why your average order size will grow. So for some of you, I want you to assume your average order size is going to grow, by $50, we'll just say. And now how much do you think you're going to sell? And then now calculate that at the percentage that you're at. Now, some of you are going to go from like 1% to a different percentage to a higher percentage to a higher percentage. So if you're at 0 and you sell 12,000, you're going to hit 4 promotions. You're going to go to 10 to 15, 20, 25 to 30. So to calculate that out. So again, my question to you is, if I paid you that much, would you do everything I just told you to do? Phone every day, like it's your job, because it's your job. Right? Would you do 50 appointments? Right? How much did you calculate that you would sell, if you don't mind me asking? Just throw it in the chat. And if you didn't do it, do it. All right, so here's the deal. I'm going to talk to you while you're throwing this in the chat. Your grand day should be Monday. Why will Monday be a grand day? Monday is going to be a grand day because you phoned all day Sunday. Like you're going to have, if you're free in your schedule, you're going to have, no joke, you're going to have like 8 appointments on Monday. Who's ever done 8 appointments in a day? All right, Maxwell, what'd you sell that day?
You were asking how much total and personal sales I got that in that one day.
The one day, ballpark.
Ballpark, I'd say at least 3K.
Yeah. It's pretty hard not to sell 3,000 when you do 8 appointments in a day. Casey, did you ever do 8 appointments a day?
Yes.
Okay. What'd you sell?
I think I did like 3K, 4K.
What's your biggest day, Casey?
4K is my biggest day so far.
How many appointments did you have that day?
10.
You're not going to have a bad day if you do 10 appointments. I can tell you that much. Okay. So here's, Monday will be a huge day. So will Tuesday. Why is Tuesday going to be a big day? Because it just like spills over, right? And the other big days that usually people have are Saturdays. Okay. Why Saturday? Because those are like the best appointments, right? It's like moms and dads together typically, right? Would you all agree that if the husband and wife are there like watching, like it's a bigger sale, right? So just know that. Okay. Last couple thoughts on the setting of the table here. 1/3 of your days are going to be like awesome CPO days. 1/3 of them are going to be really low. And 1/3 are going to be average. So here's what I mean by that. If you do 5 a day all the way across, you'll probably go on the awesome days, you'll go 5 for 5. Your average order size like $500. You sell 2,000. If you have 8 demos that day, you're going to go 8 for 8. Your average order size is going to be like 400, and you're going to sell 2,400. Does everyone understand? So like on your great days, if you have a lot of appointments, it's going to feel even better. If you do 5 appointments on a low CPO day, you're going to have like 1 sale. You're going to be all bummed out because you sold like a peeler. And it's going to feel sucky, right? And you're going to want to quit. And you're going to be like, this is so stupid. Like, why am I working so hard? Like I could be out in the sun and like my friends are having a blast and right. And then the next day you have 5 appointments, and you go 5 for 5 and sell 2,400. And you're gonna be like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. Right? So I wish I could tell you that it goes like great day, not so great, or like average day, not so good day, great day. I can't predict it though. For some of you, your best days are going to be the last 5 days. For some of you, it's going to be the first 5 days. For some of you, it's going to be the middle 5 days. Does everyone get that? Like it's going to, like, I can't tell you how it's going to be. It's like a deck of cards. Right? I can't predict what the next card is going to be based on what the last one was, but I can predict the probability, right? So if I pull 4 face cards up immediately, the probability of a face card, let's say those are great days, the probability that the next one is a face card decreased. Does everyone get that? So if your first week, you have a bunch of low CPO days with 5 appointments a day, what's the probability that the next week are going to be higher? Right? Does everyone get that? And that's where people quit. So commit now that you're not going to quit no matter what happens. I've seen people sell $1,000 by the way, for the whole first week. And you guys know how the vector week goes. It goes Tuesday to Monday, right? So I've seen people, they're at like $300 as of Friday. And they're just like, their hand is on the towel and they're ready to launch that thing. Like their hand is back here, ready to launch that thing. And I'm like, don't quit. Just keep pushing. And then they sell like 400 or 500, right? On that Saturday. And then they sell like 200-300 on that Monday. And then they have a $7,000 week the next week and a $9,000 week the next week. I see that kind of thing happen all the time. Now, every once in a while, you see someone like right out of the gates crush it. There's this guy, Connor Olson. He sold $4,000 the 4 weeks prior to the push. So he was not a great representative. He was an okay representative. First week of the push, bam, sells 15 grand. Okay. So he could have said, well, those were my lucky days. But instead, he doubled down. And by the end of the push, he sold $74,000. Right? So there's someone on this call that could have exactly that happen. Right? Luck happens sometimes. And if luck happens, good luck, keep striking. Okay. That's when like amazing stuff happens. Okay. You know, preparation defeats all. So prepare yourself really well. And on the day of victory, you know, there's no fatigue felt. So here's what you want to keep in mind is your attitude is the thing that's going to go up and down. Does everyone get that? Your attitude's going to go up and down. How do you keep your attitude consistent? I'm going to walk you through that right now. Number one thing that you can do is you can go to the Alliance every day. That's why we have an Alliance every day. Okay. So I've told you I do yoga, right? Whenever I do yoga at home by myself, not on a virtual class, it's like 30 minutes and I'm exhausted. I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. Right. Whenever I go to class and there's a bunch of people there, most of them are moms, right? You know, there's no way I'm going to get up and walk out of the class in the middle and be like, I quit. I'm sorry. I can't do this anymore. I could not look at myself in the mirror. Do you guys get that? So when you go to the Alliance every day, what happens? It's like you form this tribe of BAs, right? Bad, you know what I'm talking about, right? And so they're gonna like joke with you, have fun with you, and all that stuff. It's a tribe of butt kickers and name takers. That's why you go to the Alliance every morning. Number two is get in state. So you can change your physical. By changing your physical, here's what I want everyone to do. I want everyone to like act as though you're super interested. By the way, my office right now, we have AC that's always kicked on and I can't actually turn it. It's like a swamp in here. It's super humid right now in Chicago. That's what it feels like. And I haven't thought about it once until I just shared that with you. Why? Because I'm super focused and I have the body language of someone that's super focused. I want you to have the body language right now of someone that's super focused. Notice how all of you shifted a little bit, right? Even just a small bit. Now I want you to have the body language of someone who's like super lazy, right? Who's totally uninterested. So here's what I want you to know is that your body language changes your emotion. Did you know that? Your body language changes your emotion. So if you're ever not feeling the way you want to feel, have the body language of the person that feels the way you want to feel. I know that sounds crazy, but it's actually true. Your physiology changes how you think. Okay. The other thing you can do to have the right attitude, you know, is you want to just have the right understanding that, you know, a third of your days are going to go big, third of them are going to be low, third of them are going to be high. Okay.